Do I look like a fucking fire chief?
They didn't kill Doakes because he was wrong about Dexter. They killed him because he was right. There's a long-running joke among Dexter fans that the titular serial killer is a genius manipulator, until James Doakes walks into the room. Suddenly, Miami Metro's favorite blood spatter analyst can barely string together a convincing lie. The man who deceives the police department, his sister, his lovers, and even the FBI's most celebrated profiler turns into a sweaty, stammering amateur the moment Doakes raises an eyebrow. The question is, why? The answer lies in the collision of two predators pretending to be domesticated. Doakes isn't fooled because he can't be. He's not one of the ordinary mortals in Dexter's orbit, the trusting colleagues and friends who see a quirky forensics nerd with a donut box and call it a day. Doakes, ex-Black Ops and seasoned in the art of sanctioned violence, has stared into too many pairs of eyes like Dexter's. Cold, calculating, hungry. He recognizes the same darkness because he spent a career navigating it. To Doakes, Dexter isn't peculiar, he's familiar. That's the unspoken tension between them. Both men live with an unacknowledged twin inside. Doakes' own dark passenger, as the novels describe it, never graduates to full-blown murder sprees, but it hums quietly beneath the surface. He's done terrible things in uniform. Torture, assassination, psyops. He's killed, rationalized, and moved on. But the difference is that Doakes still believes he's on the right side of morality. Dexter, who kills for pleasure wrapped in justice, is the mirror image that Doakes refuses to face. They are each other's proof that the line between killer and hero is paper thin. That, of course, makes Doakes profoundly uncomfortable. Dexter is what Doakes might have become if he'd lost faith in rules. It's no wonder Doakes reacts like a man facing his own reflection with a pulse. He detests Dexter not simply because something's off about him, but because the unease is deeply personal. The disgust is recognition. And Dexter, for all his clinical detachment, feels it too. Around Doakes, he's stripped of his favorite weapon, invisibility. With everyone else, Dexter's facade works because people are too polite, distracted, or self-involved to look too closely. LaGuerta is too career-obsessed, Batista too lonely, Masuka too perverted to see anything beyond their own impulses. Even Deborah, the sister who shares his home, rationalizes away every oddity because her love blinds her. Dexter thrives in that fog of human denial. But Doakes, he doesn't blink. It's not that Dexter suddenly becomes a bad liar when Doakes appears. It's that Doakes refuses to play the social game that makes lies work. Lies depend on complicity, on the listener's willingness to be deceived. Doakes doesn't give him that. Every time Dexter reaches for an excuse, Doakes hits back with another question. The result isn't a clever interrogation scene. It's psychological siege warfare. Dexter can manipulate almost anyone, but Doakes is the rare opponent who applies constant pressure, never letting him regroup, never offering him the comfort of being believed. The result is deliciously ironic. The world's most self-assured predator becomes the prey. The show even toys with this dynamic early on. Their first encounters are awkward not because Doakes is wrong about Dexter, but because he's too right. Too soon. From the moment Dexter parrots a line from Doakes' own notebook, "Don't jump the fence unless you can see what's on the other side," the sergeant knows something is wrong. That eerie mirroring breaks whatever fragile trust might have existed between them. From then on, Doakes watches Dexter with the cold suspicion of a man convinced that what he's seeing isn't human, and he's not entirely wrong. The brilliance of Dexter lies in the illusion of perspective. The audience sees the story through Dexter's carefully curated lens. We're encouraged to share his private rationalizations, to admire his composure, to think of him as a mastermind. Doakes shatters that illusion. His sheer hostility punctures the narrative filter, reminding us that, to anyone outside Dexter's head, he's a creep. The polite smiles, the robotic calm, the unnatural stillness, everything that reads as charming restraint to viewers reads as predatory detachment to Doakes. Even FBI agent Frank Lundy, who could have been the show's other great truth seer, doesn't see through Dexter. Fans like to theorize that Lundy knew and looked the other way out of professional pragmatism, but there's little evidence of that. If he had known, he'd have gone after Dexter with the same relentless precision he used on Trinity. The likelier explanation is that Lundy, for all his experience, saw only what he wanted to see, a talented analyst with impeccable instincts. Dexter's act holds because most people don't want to believe monsters can be polite. Doakes doesn't have that luxury. He's been around monsters sanctioned by governments. He's looked into the eyes of men who kill for freedom and called them brothers. When he looks at Dexter, he sees the same look, unflinching, alert, and wrong. That instinctive revulsion, that tingly feeling of danger, isn't supernatural insight. It's evolution whispering that something near him is predatory. In truth, Dexter is a dreadful liar. He succeeds only because his lies go untested. Rita calls him out more than once, and even then, her disbelief never lasts longer than a tender apology. The rest of Miami Metro is simply too lazy to question him. If any competent interrogator ever pressed Dexter as hard as Doakes does, he'd unravel in minutes. He nearly does when Lundy's task force names Doakes as the Bay Harbor Butcher. Dexter practically collapses with relief. Had Lundy suspected him, the show might have ended halfway through season 2. Doakes is the necessary anomaly in that ecosystem of willful blindness. His suspicion exposes the absurdity of everyone else's complacency. When the entire department believes Doakes is the butcher, it says less about his guilt and more about their eagerness to accept the easiest explanation. Doakes is aggressive, unlikable, volatile, therefore guilty. Dexter, mild and mannerly, therefore innocent. That's Miami Metro's moral compass in a nutshell. But Doakes' hatred of Dexter isn't just professional, it's existential. He recognizes a creature that mirrors his own capacity for violence, stripped of uniform or excuse. The writers even underline this by giving both men military precision, cold humor, and an obsessive adherence to the code. The difference? Dexter's code is self-created mythology. Doakes' comes stamped with the government seal. Both kill for order. Both claim it's justice. That's why their rivalry feels biblical. Cain and Abel in reversed roles. Doakes doesn't see himself as Dexter's opposite. He sees himself as the real thing, the disciplined soldier to Dexter's deranged amateur. He hates him precisely because Dexter's version of moral clarity is what he fears his own violence might look like without a badge. In another story, Doakes would have been the hero, the one cop too sharp to be fooled. Instead, Dexter turns him into the tragic casualty of his own intuition. He's punished for seeing too clearly, for refusing to play along with the polite fiction that evil always looks obvious. When he dies, the show loses its only true skeptic, and Dexter loses the one person who ever made him sweat for real. The irony is exquisite. Doakes spends 2 seasons telling everyone, "There's something off with you, Morgan," and everyone laughs it off until his charred body is found and the case conveniently closed. The serial killer walks free, and the only man who ever saw him for what he was becomes the monster's scapegoat. That's the ultimate brilliance of Dexter. Not that its hero hides in plain sight, but that he hides in a crowd that prefers blindness. Doakes simply refused to look away, and that's why Dexter could never lie to him. Doakes saw through the mask. Don't miss what he saw. Subscribe.